Check one. All right, everybody. Hey, this is Thane, author and architect of the Courage Economy, on episode 7, I believe, of the Courage Economy podcast. Before we start, hey, if you like this content or you think it's valuable, please subscribe, share this with your friends, with anybody you think might be interested. We're trying to start a bit of a movement here with the Courage Economy, destroying the corporate lie economy. And if you've seen any of the other episodes in this series, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, listen on and maybe go review some of the episodes 1 through 6, where we talk about the corporate lie economy and how to destroy it with the creation of a courage economy. So last time we took a little detour. We talked about designed productive struggle. So if you'll remember, the pillars of a courage economy are important work. Important work catalyzes engagement. Would you lie when you're involved in something really, truly important to you? No, you wouldn't. You don't tolerate lies when it's critically important. So we have to be doing something important. Work we do in the organization, often necessary, but not important. I'm going to differentiate between those two. People have pushed back on me that stocking shelves is important work, and I will say that it's important to the customer that the shelves are stocked. But as we sort of define important work is work that meaningfully moves the needle in your organization. So I want to increase safety by a factor of 50%. That's important, right? It meaningfully and significantly moves the needle for the organization. Stocking shelves is necessary work, necessary for the functioning of a supermarket, right? To have stuff on the shelves, but it's not something that's moving the needle. It's table stakes, right? If you have a grocery store, you have to have stocked shelves. That's just sort of table stakes. So important work is hard and difficult and important in that it significantly moves the needle in our organization, where we're going, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to achieve together as an organization. And when we do important work, we engage with that important work and with each other with a sense of curiosity. And that was the episode before the last one. Curiosity, disarming the perceived attack. When I ask you a question, like, hold on a second, can you explain that more? Or why are we doing this? That's not an attack. In a courage economy, curiosity is welcomed, questions are welcomed. In a lie economy, questions are not welcomed, because questions may force you to engage in a conversation that you don't want to engage in. It may force you to talk about something that you've already decided, and you don't want to have to explain it. You don't want to have to rationalize it or justify it. So no questions, please. We'll put that on the parking lot, as they say. The third pillar is challenge. So curiosity and challenge can kind of almost be a combined pillar. I separate them into two pillars, but they are closely linked. I'm curious. If it's important, I'm genuinely curious because it's important. Why are we doing this? What's the outcome we're looking for? What problem are we trying to solve? And challenge closely followed by challenge. I don't agree with that. Explain why that makes sense, right? Challenging each other, which is essentially taking the problem and looking at it from all sides, right? And being fearless in looking at it from all sides, because our objective is to find the truth. The truth. In a courage economy, we are a maximally truth-seeking organization. And so there should be, and there can be, no resistance to an effort to find the truth, because the truth is the only thing that's going to solve our problem. The truth is the only thing that's going to get us to the solution of the important work that we're engaged in. If you want to increase, your safety in your manufacturing organization by 50%, that's hard, difficult, and important. And it's not going to happen if everybody is sugarcoating stuff and bending the truth and telling half lies and trying to position themselves for their promotion and all this kind of happy nonsense that happens in corporate. It's not going to happen, right? It only happens when you're trying to do something like that, when the organization, again, is maximally truth telling. So challenge is like this critical part of um, the creation and the functioning of a courage economy. Curiosity, challenge. And leaders, right, welcome both. Welcome and reward, right? I see culture, things posted online about, well, what's culture? Culture is this, culture's that, and complicated frameworks. It's not complicated. Culture is the behavioral output of what you reward, what you punish, and what you tolerate. That's it. Period. End of story. It's not any more complicated than that. You want people to do something, reward them for it. You want them not to do something, punish them for it. That's as simple as that. I worked with an organization and they were incredibly punctual. Meetings started exactly on time. A visitor came. Man, every meeting here is just like prompt. Everybody's on time. How did they build that culture? What did they do? I said, if you're late for a meeting, you get written up. Wow, she seemed disappointed with that answer. Like it had to be some magical thing that leadership did to, inspire people to be on time for the meeting. No. You got written up if you were late. So guess what happened? We had a highly punctual organization. And then shocker, right? We held people accountable to that standard, right? We did not tolerate people being late. So whatever's important in your organization, reward it. Reward the behaviors that get you closer to it and punish the behaviors that slow you down or that don't get you closer to it. And don't tolerate people that are operating outside of a standard. That's it. End of story. That's how you make your culture. The problem is that most organizations operate in what we call a lie economy. The half-truths, the politicking, the maneuvering, we'll hold off and kick the can down the road. Like all this stuff is tolerated. And sometimes it's rewarded. Right? If I can maneuver myself correctly and position and market myself correctly, then I can get to promotion. Oh wow, I've rewarded people for playing games. Don't know. No. We're trying to do something important here. So challenge is a critical part of this. Challenge is not punishment. It's creating the conditions for genuine learning and development, right? So not only are you seeking the truth, but in the process of that, in the struggle of the important work that you're doing, people are growing, people are developing. Nothing grows without hardship. Nothing grows without struggle. I mean, I know it sounds, like it's depressing sometimes when you think about it, but nothing grows without struggle. If you're not struggling, you're not growing. And there's a season for everything, right? And we talked last time about the effort sine wave, right? The effort of the organization in tackling important work can't be 45 degrees up in effort, indefinitely. It's got to be modulated, right? So we looked at the sine wave of effort, right? Climb the mountain and then recovery and then climb the next mountain. And that's how the organization should be flowing in terms of the important work that you're engaging with it. The other thing without challenge happens is that human beings, we have an incredible urge, drive to build a comfort economy, right? To optimize for comfort. We don't want to feel discomfort. We don't want to anybody's feelings to get hurt. We don't want our feelings to get hurt. So we have in working together, everybody's often trying to optimize for comfortability. And comfortability is sort of the opposite of challenge, right? The organization defaults to comfort unless we pay attention to it, right? Challenge is a mechanism where we deny comfort the opportunity to be the default operating system of the organization. Right? We're curious and we challenge. And again, not only do we challenge, we reward challenge. If you're a leader and you say, I think we should do this, and somebody says, I don't agree with that. And here's why. That should be welcomed and rewarded instead of taking umbrage with the fact that somebody disagrees with you. And if it's important, You want them to disagree if they actually disagree, and also you want them to agree vigorously. I mean, if they don't disagree, if they don't promote or advocate for their opinion vigorously, then how important is it to them? So the challenge has to be, bred into how we work. Again, maximally truth telling, growth for the organization and the people in it. So challenge in many ways is one of the key factors in breaking the lie economy. In the face of genuine curiosity and challenge, it's very difficult for people to hide behind comfort, the lie economy, half truths, politicking, all of the attributes that we've discussed at length about what is a lie economy and how does it manifest itself in an organization. Challenge breaks the lie economy. It's hard to continue the facade when you have people challenging the facade itself. And again, not only challenging it, but rewarded for challenging it. People begin to stop protecting themselves and to start engaging with the important work that you're trying to accomplish. Because challenge to work effectively requires that you have something important to challenge about. People are not going to take the risk to challenge, right, to put themselves out there unless they feel safe to do so and unless it's something worth challenging. I watch teams and observe leadership teams all the time. And one of the primary things I look for is how much are they arguing? How much are they pushing back on each other? The vast majority of meetings I'm in leadership meetings, everybody sits there. Either they're multitasking, which is itself an indicator about, well, how important could this be if everybody's just sitting on their computer, right? Or they just nod along. We're going to do this thing. Okay. That clearly means they don't care, right? Whatever decision is made is fine with them. They don't care. And in that case, it can't be that important. So yes, there are some sort of maintenance and administrivia nonsense that you have to deal with where everybody can kind of nod along. But when you're talking about something, important, then you would expect people to be engaged with it, right? To challenge it. If they're engaged with it, then they are necessarily curious about it and interested in challenging it because it's important to them. And so this is where we talked last week about designed productive struggle. Designed productive struggle is designing difficult and important work so that people will be curious, that people will challenge, people will engage with the work. They will provide discretionary effort. They will be going home thinking about, man, how can we solve this problem? Because this is really important. Not only to the organization, but to them. And you can design that. We talked about, a nuclear power plant's outage. 4 weeks of 24/7 work where the plant is shut down. It has to be reloaded with uranium and it has to be brought back up online. And the 2,000 people there doing this work are completely invested in it. The lie economy disappears. You don't have to run a nuclear power plant to have that dynamic, to have that set of circumstances. You could design it into your work. Like I said, we're going to go on a sprint over the next month to solve X problem. All hands on deck. Here's why it's important. Critical for us. I see posters on the wall. We're going to be the best X company. And, the mission statements and the vision statements are all basically the same, right? Hardly anybody gets creative with this stuff. They're like, we're going to be the best, drugstore on the East Coast. Okay. If you're trying, accomplishing a sprint to accomplish something, to make that happen, if you want to be the best X, Y, or Z, then you need to differentiate yourself. You need to do something pretty outstanding. So do something outstanding. Come together, build a body of work, a sprint to meaningfully move your organization to a different place. Leverage curiosity and challenge to do so. And the lie economy begins to disappear. Because again, the work is too important to lie about. And in the midst of that struggle of being curious, of challenging the crap out of each other, arguing, trust begins to form. Because in that environment, you are either trustworthy or you are not. And it quickly becomes apparent. And so the people that can go through the fire together, they reveal themselves and earn the idea that they are trustworthy. And trust begins to form in this group. Trust is an outcome. You don't build trust with trust falls and team builds and all this happy nonsense. You build it by doing hard, difficult things together. And in that struggle, people are revealed to be exactly who they are. If you're lazy, you will be revealed. If you're untrustworthy, you will be revealed. All that you are is revealed in difficult, important work. And so then trust can form. And once trust forms, now we may be able to have the beginnings of a community being a group of people that actually care about one another and actually care about the work that they're doing. And in that environment, in a true courage economy, in that environment, I would challenge that they can accomplish whatever they want. So, challenge, really important. Next time, we'll talk more about trust and we'll talk more about community as we round out the 5 pillars of the Courage Economy framework. You can find me at thanebelomo.com. You can find me at thane.substack.com or at The Courage Economy on Substack. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Thane Belomo. The book, we're looking for an October release date on the book. The cover is complete. For a sneak peek, you can go to thecourageeconomy.net. That is the book launch website. That website's not 100% complete yet, but almost there. The pre-order is going to be up there shortly. So yeah, very exciting. Join me on Substack. Lots of resources there for you to help to be in building your own courage economy, and to kind of get rid of the lie economy that you probably work in, and potentially that you probably lead. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye.